I want you to think about an animal that you associate with Florida. Now, for you, this may be a flamingo, maybe a dolphin, maybe even a manatee, which is the state aquatic mammal. But for me and a lot of other people, of course, we think of the American alligator. Now, these can be found anywhere throughout the South, whether it be North Carolina, even down to eastern Texas. But they are most commonly found in Florida, especially in the Everglades, which is the southernmost point of the peninsula. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about alligators, one of them being that they're just mindless, ruthless killers, and that's really just not true. In fact, clickorlando.com has an article that they published in 2025 saying that since 1948, there have only been 30 humans killed by alligators, at least in Florida, and that's less than one a year. So, I mean, they're really not just going for humans all the time. In fact, they really prefer not to, since humans are typically too big for them to really easily eat. So, usually when they do go for humans, unfortunately, it's children. A lot of times it's when they're playing by canals or swimming in them. A lot of times it's also people walking their dogs, because the alligator will go for the dog and then the person attacks the gator, so the gator fights back. But in any case, obviously they're carnivores, so they'll eat kind of just anything they can fit in their mouths. So usually that's like fish, small mammals, reptiles, even other alligators. But the way that they do this is that they're ambush predators. So to hunt, they kind of just sit in one spot and wait for something to come by, whether that's to drink or just swimming by or hunting, whatever. And once it gets close enough, they just lunge out at them. This could be actually running up onto the shore, or it could also even be jumping straight up out of the water. According to untamedanimals.com, they're able to jump 6 feet straight up into the air because they're able to use their tail to propel themselves, just like they do when they're swimming. But once they get a hold of their prey, they do what's called a death roll, which is where they spin like this in the water as fast as they can. And it's not so much to kill their prey, but just to tear it apart into more manageable chunks, because they don't really chew. Instead, they just swallow the chunks whole. So thankfully, they are able to digest a lot. This is like fur, bones. They can even digest turtle shells, which they also are able to crack open with their jaws. But as you can imagine, they're pretty much the apex predator wherever they go. But that's really only the case for the adults. The juveniles and the eggs actually do have a lot of predators. According to explorationjunkie.com, this could be anything from like wild hogs to otters, humans, of course. And in fact, humans almost hunted them into extinction. According to biologyinsights.com, they were almost hunted to extinction because of their skins. They were very valuable at the time for like leatherworking, but they were made a protected species in Florida back in the 1960s. So nowadays you can still hunt them, but you do need a permit, which are very limited, and it also needs to be during alligator season. So people will come from all over the world to hunt alligators in Florida, but even if that's not what brings you down there, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to find something alligator related, whether that be an actual alligator or plushie in a gift store, or the gift store may be named after alligators. I mean, they're really a cultural staple down in Florida. So, I mean, they have a college football team called the Gators. They have Gatorade named after those gators, and they're even the state reptile. But so even if they're not the animal that you thought of a couple minutes ago, at least now you know some more about them, and maybe they'll be the reason for your next vacation.